As you can plainly see, I am at a new location, but I was so excited I couldn't wait to unbox one dinosaur. Can you guess what this dinosaur is? I'll give you a hint. It's a small ankylosaurian herbivore. If you don't know what that is, I'll just give you the answer right away. It is an amazing Jurassic World Primal Attack Pack Minmi. I said attack twice. That's weird, but first we need to know what Minmis itself are. So, Minmis existed in the early Cretaceous period, and Minmis had lots of armor on their back. They are a species of small ankylosaur, around 3 meters long, or 10 feet. And also, they weighed around 300 kilograms. And the Minmi had unusually long limbs, probably to dig up gigantic leaves so it could put them above its body to protect itself from predators that might flip it onto its back. So the Minmi had an unusually long tail for an ankylosaurid, which anyway is like a dinosaur with lots of armor, and sometimes they have a tail club. Ankylosauruses are split into two subgroups, ankylosaurians and nodosaurians. The ankylosaurians have tail clubs, but as you can plainly see, the nodosaurs, like this Sauropelta, and the Minmi do not have them. Let us start talking about the Minmi more in depth. It had an unusually long snout, as you can plainly see, which is kind of weird. As you know, in the early Cretaceous period in Australia, there are very thick leaves and you needed like a long snout to chew them. So the Minmi had this very long snout and it could just snip leaves so easily that it just go right down into its stomach. So the Minmi had a short neck like most ankylosaurids, as you can see right now, and it had unusually like armor on its thigh or femur bone, and the Minmi had weird platelets on its tail. I don't think you can see it very well, but here are little platelets. So the Minmi might be considered a strange dinosaur, but if you guys want to know the meaning of the Minmi's name, it means Minmi, it's the place where Minmi was discovered, but it was discovered specifically at Minmi Crossing in Australia, and during its time, it lived in the island of Gondwana, and the Minmi lived in the very early Cretaceous. So Laurasia and Gondwana only started slowly splitting into the continents we see today in the late Cretaceous period. So right now, the Minmi is living in the early Cretaceous period, around 100 million years ago. So those are some interesting facts about the Minmi. And for some strange reason, it had glowing yellow eyes. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, the Minmi was an awesome dinosaur, of course, but let's check out this toy and see if it is as awesome. So as you can plainly see, we have the normal Primal Attack packaging with the Jurassic World logo and all the side stripes and stuff. All these things for an attack pack packaging. But something that is peculiar is that you can't really touch the Minmi, right? It's in a plastic shield, kind of. And the Owen and Blue are too. These are from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And here is the words Minmi, and here are some stripes. And here it says Attack Pack. Let's move to the back. Here you can see Get Jurassic World Facts app, which is an app you can scan it. And here it says Attack Pack again. Here's Jurassic World. And here you can see 4 very cool dinosaurs. Well, I think they're cool at least. So here's the Minmi. This is the one we already have. Then you have the Colovosaurus, which is just a little herbivorous dinosaur, but it was bigger than the Minmi. It was 13 feet. And here's a Rhamphorhynchus, a 3-foot-long pterosaur. Ornitholestes, a small 7-foot-long raptor. So, it's finally time to unbox this Minmi. I just want to give you a heads up that the only way you can actually get an attack pack figure out of the box is by tearing the box, I guess. Okay. So very cool Minmi over here. And let's put this aside. So now let's look at this Minmi more in depth too. So as you can see, the Minmi has these cool nasal kind of holes. They're like pretty common of ankylosaurids or nodosaurids, even though the Sauropelta doesn't really have them, but it has a very small one. Zoom in closer. This gray little spot. But anyway, the Minmi has 2 cool just around sticking back spikes over here, sticking out. And here you have the little platelets along the tail. And here you have the same little spikes or osteoderms just going slowly trailing back into the tail and fading and fading and fading. So now let us see the detailing. So as you can see, you have these small little plates over here, and these plates are what cover the hood of the eye of the Minmi. Here you have the little straights of the Minmi among its legs, which are also really detailed. And if you zoom in really closely, you can kind of see all the little spike thingies. You can see every single one of them. Now let's look at the detailing of the Minmi's tail. Now there's lots of detailing in these little platelets here. You have the lines that separate the platelets, but also you have these little tiny, they're just so tiny osteoderms inside the platelets, which I think is super cool. And now the Minmi says he wants to do a comparison with the Sauropelta, which is his friend. So as you can plainly see, I'll hold them side by side, or maybe I should hold them like this. As you can see, the Sauropelta is clearly a little bit longer than the Minmi, but this is definitely not size accurate because the Minmi is actually way smaller than the Sauropelta. It should be about this big. Anyway, the Sauropelta is a savage strike, so it's not the same level as an attack pack. Like, attack packs don't really have action features. But this Sauropelta does. It has like a savage striking feature, moving the spikes side to side. That is in another video, and you might want to check that out. It's the Sauropelta open box review. It's on my channel too. So, do you guys know why Minmis travel in a herd? Well, the answer is because Minmis want to be safer together, like all packed up. You know how you have that safe feeling when you're like all packed up with other people? Well, if you feel safe, the Minmis do too. And anyway, as you can see, but this Minmi has been left out of his herd. He was too slow to catch up. But then, what are the Minmi's predators? If this Minmi wasn't in its herd, it would be an easy target for predators. Now it's time to know what the Minmi's predators were. I'm just using this Utahraptor for an example, but the Minmi's predators weren't actually Utahraptors. The Minmi's predators were actually Australovenators, a giant raptor-like animal, and also an Austroraptor, just a raptor a bit smaller than the size of a Utahraptor. So, today we are going to have a small battle, like what would happen in real life if the Minmi faced off with a predator. Now I'm using this as an example, so yeah, it's just an example. I know the actual predators of the Minmi, so let's get this battle started. So, once a Minmi was just walking in the woods. It heard the footsteps of a predator approaching, but the Minmi was too scared to look at it. The Minmi decided to just dig up for some gigantic leaves to cover itself with, and once it covered itself with a leaf, to prevent the Utahraptor from flipping it over onto its back, the Utahraptor knocked into the leaf, and the leaf fell down. So then the Minmi had nothing to protect itself, but the Minmi had stuff to protect itself on its body. But sometimes the Minmi can forget that it has armor on its body because it originally feels like it's too heavy. So the Minmi was a bit scared to stand up to this gigantic raptor who already stomped on it. Then he kicked the Minmi backwards and the Minmi fell down but quickly rolled up onto its feet. The raptor then used its attacking skills to bite the Minmi's arm and throw it down. But the Minmi wasn't done yet. It decided it had to use its scales too. It whipped out in the face of the Utahraptor, and the Utahraptor was falling down. Now I'm just using this as an example again. So the Minmi used its spikes, scratched against the Utahraptor's head. The Utahraptor fell down, and when the Utahraptor got up, the Minmi banged against it and came rolling all the way. And then the Sauropelta ended it with a slash of its spikes. But that's just behind the scenes. And anyway, let's talk about the Minmi's techniques to defend itself. So as you can see, the Minmi has very sharp spikes over here, and it can jump up and then it can just strike at its predators. So the Minmi can just strike at its predators in midair if it was that agile, but Minmis are smaller herbivores, so they can technically be pretty agile for an ankylosaurid. Shing, shing, shing. Anyway, as you can see, the Minmi had horns above its face to protect itself from getting bitten right in the face. Then the predator would probably have teeth falling out, and then it would be a funny scene in the middle of a battle, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, the Minmi also had horns over here to protect its eyes and its face, which are pretty vulnerable. So as you can see, the Minmi has dark yellow eyes, which are pretty vulnerable if you ask me, because dark yellow eyes usually have a softer pupil, and it's easier for predators to attack, but that would be gross if predators actually bit the eye. The Minmi also had spikes along its neck, so the predator couldn't bite its neck from above. But what if it flipped the Minmi over and bit on its neck? The Minmi would still probably be slightly defended because it had these spikes on the sides and some of the predator's teeth might fall out. But the Minmi wasn't really adapted to getting flipped over. But the Minmi actually had armor on its belly. Can't see it very well, but not really on its neck and face. So it's kind of cool how the Minmi could defend itself like that. So that was today's video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. So please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.